What's up, guys? I was watching some pro pickleball recently and I figured out a new strategy that they are using, and it's really effective. And I want to show you the why and the how of that strategy. So a lot of you have asked what pickleball paddle I use. This is the new Pro Ultimate from Gearbox. I absolutely love it. Best paddle on the market. I've linked it down below. Use my link to purchase. So this new pro double strategy will help us accomplish two different things. The first thing is how to not get ernied as often. Nobody likes to be ernied. Let's try to avoid that. Number two is we're gonna score more points in general and win more games, hence win more matches if we apply this strategy. So one, I'll show you how not to get ernied by doing this, and two, I'll show you hey, we can score a lot more points with this. Now this is the most common ernie position or situation. If somebody can dink to me here in the deep corner of the kitchen or just behind me, I'm typically looking down so that I can dink that ball back. If I'm looking down, I'm not able to see that my opponent is trying to ernie from this side of the court. So they see me look down, they're looking to jump the kitchen or walk over and ernie that ball at me or at my partner or a steep backhand angle. So again, my opponent is leaning forward thinking that they have a good ernie opportunity. Because I'm looking down, I'm most likely not gonna dink cross court. So what can I do in this situation so that I don't just pop up an easy dink right here for them to ernie at me or ernie at my partner? What I can do is lob the ball instead. So this lob can be a fairly easy one. We want to lob directly over this person that has their momentum coming forward. Okay, so we get the ball here, we lob it up in that corner. That causes them to retreat. That causes them to go into a defensive position. Now, for me and my partner have the upper hand, because now we're in an offensive position and we can most likely win that point. It will be very difficult for them to go back, hit a nice drop or drive, but most likely a drop, and try to work their way back to the kitchen. If they're able to do so, good. Maybe we can lob them again, but maybe they won't be leaning in that situation. So the best way to avoid the two most common ernies is actually to lob over your opponent's head. I'm seeing this strategy work at the pro level, so I know it will work at any level. So here are a few pro examples of what you should and should not do. The first one is a should not. He decides to dink it here. Watch the player in the bottom left instead of lobbing it. So this first one he gets away with, dinks it there, doesn't get ernied. Second one, same thing. He decides, I'm gonna dink that one, and he got ernied. Here's a slow motion view of it. He could have lobbed that and gotten away with it instead. And here's an example of what you should do. So watch the player in the top right. He decides to lob that, and then they're able to eventually win this point right here. Here's one more example. Watch Donald Young on the bottom right. He'll get a dink over to his corner. He decides to lob it. And this one's actually a pretty fun point. It doesn't end there. Usually it does after that lob, but it ends here and he wins the point. So let me show you the second most common area to be ernied in pickleball. And that's when you're over here at the tee. We refer to this as the tee. If the players are getting me to move past this tee and reach over to my partner's side, typically the hardest shot is going to be angling a dink back in the opposite direction. So lots of the time when someone's reaching here over the tee, their easiest shot will actually be over in this corner. But we want to avoid that, because if I'm the player over on this side and I see a nice juicy ball coming over here to the corner, I'm most likely gonna ernie that ball. So a very common ernie situation, something to look for if you want to ernie as well, is try to get your opponent to reach across over here into their partner's space. Typically that ball is going to go right about there. So the benefit that we have of knowing that that's an ernie opportunity for the opponent if we're reaching across the tee, instead of dinking to that location, we can throw up an easy lob right over their head. So say for example, I'm reaching over here, they're leaning into the court, expecting an ernie opportunity, because I'm most likely not going to hit a difficult shot to the opposite court. So instead of popping it up all nice for them so that they can ernie my partner or ernie me, I'm going to lob this ball. And it's a pretty easy ball to lob. So I'm reaching over here, and this ball will go in that corner. That causes them to go from an offensive to a defensive position because again, they're leaning forward in the kitchen. So then what happens is my opponent is actually going to have to run back. They're going to be leaning forward. They just dinked me past the tee over here. They're going to be leaning in, hoping to jump the kitchen to hit an ernie, but all of a sudden that lob just went over their head in the corner. Now their option is to retreat. Then they have to hit a difficult drop here in the deep court and start anew, trying to work their way forward back into an offensive position. So when you hit that lob over here on this side, you can stay in an offensive position and typically win the point. Hey, while you're here, check out these cool grips I use from Pickleball Playbook. They're super tacky, super comfortable. They don't have the extra that a tennis overgrip has. Check them out in my link down below. So again here, I'll give you a couple examples of what you should and should not do. We'll start with the should not. So here's the first one. Notice the player on the bottom right. He crosses the tee and decides to dink the ball. When we do that, we're opening ourselves up to get ernie, just like he did right there. And here's an example of a good way when you cross the tee. Watch the same player. He decided to lob it in that situation, and they were able to easily win the point instead of getting ernied. And here's the final one. Jack Sock throws up a lob once he crosses the tee. You'll see he's not able to put the point away the first time. So hey, let's cross and throw up another lob. It worked 2 times in the same point. And this time, let's see if he's able to put it away. Yes, he is. So let's sum this all up. Nobody likes being ernied, right? Everybody likes winning more points. You can accomplish both things by lobbing instead of getting ernied. So anytime you're reaching across the tee, instead of serving it up for your opponent to hit an ernie, you can lob it over their head. Or anytime you're looking down because they've dinked it into the corner of your kitchen, you can also lob it over their head. Go from defense to offense really quickly and win more points, and also avoid getting ernied. Also remember, if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. It helps me create more content just for you.